So to begin, I wanted to notice that having reached the hour of 5:39 p.m., I am calling the July 6, 2021 Modesto City Council meeting to order. Our city manager, Joe Lopez, is out today, and Deputy City Manager Kalua Barnes is here. Our city attorney, Jose Sanchez, is on Zoom, so he is present on Zoom. And our city clerk, Stephanie Lopez, is out today, and Assistant City Clerk Dana Sanchez is here in her place. I would ask the Assistant City Clerk to call the roll.
Councilmembers Ricky?
Present.
Councilmember Zalaki?
Here.
Councilmember Knoyer? Here. Councilmember Wright?
Here.
Councilmember Scudia Brayton?
Here.
Councilmember Madrigal?
Here.
Mayor Zwollen?
Here. Will everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by the invocation from Jeremiah Williams from the Revival Center. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing as we go to the Lord in prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you for our law enforcement that keeps us safe, even to the mayor, keeping her safe. And I pray, Lord, that you would keep each and every one of our council men and women safe. We thank you for this community. We thank you for everything it stands for. We thank you for a beautiful July 3rd parade where we were able to enjoy one another as family, friends, and loved ones. We pray, Lord, that feeling, that unity would still continue even throughout this year, that we can get more done in this city. We also pray that you would give each and every one of those in leadership in this community wisdom, integrity, and strength and passion for every and in everything they do, every department, every staff, every employee. We pray for this city that your blessings would flow each and every day. In your name we pray, and let everybody say, Amen.
Thank you very much, Jeremiah. All right, does the Assistant City Clerk have any announcements?
Yes, Mayor. Item 13 is being removed from tonight's agenda. Staff will bring it back at a later time as appropriate.
Thank you very much. Item 13 is being removed. Do any of the council members have any conflicts of interest? All right, I will report out on closed session regarding public employee discipline dismissal release. Regarding our city clerk, Stephanie Lopez. The council, by a vote of 6-1, with Councilmember Madrigal voting no, continued the 5% reduction for 6 months relating to the previous discipline that was discussed. Next is miscellaneous legislation and appointments. First, consider accepting the resignation of Mark Freitas from the City of Modesto Citizens Transportation Sales Tax Commission. Do I have any questions from council members? Seeing none. Any comments from the public? None. We have a motion by Councilmember Knoyer.
Second.
Second by Councilmember Wright. Will I ask the Assistant City Clerk to call the roll?
Councilmember Ricky?
Aye.
Councilmember Zalaki?
Aye.
Councilmember Knoyer?
Aye.
Councilmember Wright?
Aye.
Councilmember Scudia Brayton?
Aye.
Councilmember Madrigal?
Aye.
Mayor Zwollen?
Aye. Now we will go to public comment period. If anyone wishes to speak on an item, this is for items not on the council agenda. Each person has 3 minutes to speak. If you would please fill out a blue card and give it to our Assistant City Clerk, Dana Sanchez. I will call the names as I receive them and go to in-person and then to those online on Zoom. So is there anyone wishing to come forward to speak under public comment? So far I have one card, and this is Kyle Seaver.
How's everybody doing tonight? So, my brother Trevor Seaver was murdered while unarmed by a serial killer named Joseph Lamatia, who was employed by the Modesto Police Department. We're asking that not only that the manslaughter charges that Joseph Lamatia faces get increased to murder charges like they deserve to be. We would also like the Department of Justice to get involved and reopen all of Joseph Lamatia's previous murders. Joseph Lamatia has murdered 4 unarmed people. The 5th person, Kim Jackson, that he murdered, was a 50-year-old woman with knives above her head going through a mental breakdown. Joseph Lamatia killed 5 people for no reason. There's no excuse for there not being accountability. My brother should be here right now. My family shouldn't have to go through what we have to go through daily. Joseph Lamatia ambushed my brother. I know many of you probably haven't watched the body cam, but I would like you to go to the Church of the Brethren, where Joseph Lamatia ambushed and murdered my brother. I would like you to see where my brother was, sitting on a bench. I would like you to see where Joseph Lamatia drove his vehicle into the parking lot. I would like you to see that when Joseph Lamatia drove into the parking lot, he had full visibility to Trevor on his right-hand side. Joseph Lamatia already had his gun in his hand. Joseph Lamatia parked the car with his left hand because he had his gun in his right hand ready to ambush Trevor. Joseph Lamatia saw Trevor. He did not turn on his lights. He did not turn on his sirens. Joseph Lamatia proceeded to drive his vehicle into a location where there's a building. Trevor's right here. Joseph Lamatia drives to this building. I want y'all to go look. He had no visibility to Trevor when he got out in a full sprint. He had no visibility to Trevor. He had already planned the ambush, ran around the corner and ambushed, murdered my brother. The 5th person that he did that to. Y'all have a great night. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Online, the next person is Kevin McClarty.
Hi, Madam Mayor. And, I want to extend to you my best wishes in light of the recent event in the news. And I have nothing but good wishes for you. And I hope that we're able to mitigate this problem effectively, and that you're able to be safe, and we all appreciate you. So thank you very much. And my reason for wanting to talk today is because I want to talk about a marijuana dispensary on Mchenry Avenue. I'm of the older generation, and in my generation, marijuana was illegal. Marijuana was considered a gateway drug. Marijuana was considered not to be recreational, but it had a number of other issues pertaining to it. And so I grew up in that generation, and I am personally offended by the gentleman at the dispensary right by Walgreens, motioning cars to go into the dispensary. and he's using a public sidewalk to do this. And I'm not sure if he legally can do this because this is a private business using a city sidewalk to stand there and motion cars to come into the dispensary. I am personally offended by this because in my generation, marijuana was considered a drug. It was illegal. I understand that it's legal now, but you know, I don't think that that sort of thing is legal. And I'm wondering if the city could possibly look into this and see if maybe even though marijuana is legal in California and so forth, and the dispensaries are legal, that they cannot use a public sidewalk for advertising or solicitation of customers. And that's the part that really offends me. And he's a gentleman, he's probably about 62 years old, he has a long gray beard, and he stands there, he's there every day, motioning cars to come into the dispensary, waving cars into the dispensary. So I'm wondering if the city could look into this and see if there possibly might be some laws that could protect citizens from having to be subjected to this. I personally am offended by it, and I'm offended that somebody would think that I would patronize a place like that to the point that they're going to motion me in. I personally find that offensive, and I'm hoping that the city could look into the matter. And I want to thank the council for your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker in person, Jay.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for these 2 minutes and 56 seconds. First, I'd like to thank the mayor. You did right after we were here with my brothers and sisters. You were on CBS 13 News, Mayor, and I was quite shocked. You did not spoke any really negative about or anything. You were very neutral about it, and I respect that, and I thank you for that. However, in regards to this oversight committee and to law enforcement, I spoke very clear that I have a lot of disagreements to it, that I am asking you to please allow me to be part of this committee because I haven't seen anybody that has an opposite side. I would love to work with you guys. I still haven't heard a reply from the City of Modesto. I haven't heard anything. However, I've taken it upon myself to go to the streets of South Modesto and speak to some parents, speak to the community members if they're aware of what's going on and what you are possibly promoting. They were not aware of any of this happening. They were not aware of what's going on. They didn't even know that these meetings were open to the public. So I continually ask you to put me as part of that committee. Again, I'm not from this country. And again, I do not want to see that this country become non-law enforcement. I'm not saying that that is your job or that is kind of your goal. I don't know what you guys' goal is. I'm sorry what happened to his brother. But, you know, we don't have good cops. Not every cop is good. We understand that. And that's okay. There's bad apples in every community. There's bad apples in everything. In our family members. We all have them. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I'm not going to punish law enforcement and get rid of the hold because they protect your community, our community. Probably the community where most of you reside. A beautiful $500,000 home where if you need anything or you have an emergency, you're quick to call them and to protect your children. And you're entitled to that. Mayor, you probably live in a nice, beautiful neighborhood where you wouldn't want your neighborhood to look like South Modesto at all. I don't, and I grew up there. But I am considering, I'm asking you, I'm challenging you guys. Put me in that committee as well. If not, you're gonna have this room full of Crow's Landing people. And I will let them know what's going on and what you guys are pretending to do. So please consider it once again. And one more time, these people that I come with, they're no right-wing people. They're no terrorism, none of that. I'm Hispanic, guys. They embrace me and support me in every level. And I'm not saying everybody's perfect, because only God is perfect. But if you are perfect, you know, more power to you. But they're not. And the people, what they're being told and they're being exposed or spoken of in the newspaper, that's not okay. So Mayor, I might not disagree with 100% of everything you do, But lately, you actually been very open about certain things, and I respect that, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right, next is Ramon Rodriguez, online.
Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Good evening, Mayor, Madam Mayor, and council members. Today I'm still here, despite what the last speaker talked about against the Civilian Reward Board. I'm still in full support with subpoena powers, free from influence of law enforcement, as well as having a mental health crisis intervention program like Cahoots in Oregon, and also additional mental health crisis de-escalation training. The same one that Loveland Police Department is implementing after the wake of the Karen Gardner incident. And also policy and procedure changes on how the police handle minors, and changes in high-speed pursuits after the tragic death of Sandra Mann. And speaking of Sandra Mann, we demand additional body cam and dash cam footage from Modesto police when they were assisting Stanislaus County sheriffs in the pursuit of Sandra Mann, because we don't know what's going on, and that the sheriff did not provide the full picture of it. And the deputies and the officers were involved in Keystone Cop-style pursuits that led to the death of Sandra Mann and traumatizing his friends. And also that on June 17th, I experienced 5 or 6 Modesto police officers against a homeless woman with mental health issues. I was on the 11th and J Street, and I saw 5 Modesto PD units, and I heard the screams of the woman in fear, and I saw 4, 5, or 6 officers on top of her using questionable force, and this is why we need to have that board right away. And in the spirit of transparency, I'm asking Chief Gillespie to release the body cam footage of that day so that we, the public, know what's going on, whether or not the officers used excessive force or not against a homeless woman, because she's having a mental health crisis. And this is why we need a civilian review board, a Kahoot-style program, and alternatives to police when there's a person having mental health issues. And that's all I have to say, but I've been speaking from day to day, and we're not gonna let a Proud Boys ruin our progress that we made since the beginning. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Deborah Harper.
Good evening, my name is Deborah Harper, and I'm still in Modesto, and ever since the 70s, I've experienced scopolamine and hypnosis manipulation. Have a memory, somebody has erased my memory, maliciously erased my memory. These are not mental health symptoms again. And I applied for physical disability. They gave me mental health labels, which are false. I do not have one mental health symptom. I'm sorry that I have to point the negative point out consistently because I'm being completely misrepresented through the community. Very recently, actually twice in the same area, someone has used witchcraft on the physical healthcare abnormalities, not symptoms, abnormalities. I have physical abnormalities in my x-rays that are still there because they've been neglected. Somebody used witchcraft on it and did the Linda Blair poo thing on my wardrobe. So I peacefully and reasonably managed it in both times. The first time I was kicked out of the store because it happened, and the second time I was actually handcuffed, read Miranda rights, when I was peacefully and quickly, because I knew it was going to be an issue, was managing the witchcraft. And I was arrested. Intimidated, arrested, and it was just frightful. And it's like I'm irrelevant to what anybody's saying throughout the community. I'm a very peaceful and reasonable person. So that, in addition to the buses, we have new bus drivers constantly now, and it's like the first thing they say is Deborah. They make everything about them, and then they act like I'm doing something I'm not and kick me off the bus every day. It's practically every day. And it's very annoying. I had to walk everywhere July 3rd because they kicked me off. The new driver just, it's like a game. They make it all about them, acting like they're wounded, instead of focusing on the transportation, which is what they're there for. They get customers, just leave the customers alone. People have paid their fares. This month is free, and thank you very much for that. That is awesome, by the way. People get on the bus, get where they need to go, and not engage with a driver who wants to make everything about them and get kicked off the bus. I don't see anybody else getting kicked off the bus. It's like a game. So I'm just asking that somebody would take a serious look at that fast, because I'm going to be working on it very soon. And thank you for your efforts and time.
Thank you. Next online is Emerson Drake.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the council, ladies and gentlemen. First, I'd like to mention that this clock is still on my screen. It's all I get to see except for a 1-inch by a 1/2-inch picture in the corner. Now, I don't know if your council members at home watching or participating through Zoom see the same thing. If they do, I think they would be a little bit concerned and possibly even outraged that you're putting members that are trying to participate from home in the back seat. You're making us second-class citizens, and I just don't think it's right. We've talked about it before. The city made claims that they were going to try to improve the situation. It only got worse, and you left it there. So if that's the new transparency and the new improvements, okay, I'll go along with it. Won't agree. Now, I've asked before for the agendized committee meetings or standing committees, however you want to phrase it, to be recorded. All you have to do is click one button on Zoom and put it on your YouTube channel. These meetings aren't being recorded. They happen, they disappear, but important things can occur in these. Things are said, they should be recorded, they should be made available to the public. Pre-COVID, that was always the case. They were available. Now, all of a sudden, with the new regime, we're not taking a step forward. We're happy to be sitting in the back row. I just don't understand that, quite honestly. Now, another concern that I've mentioned before is you have a whistleblower program. But do you know who answers that whistleblower program now that you refuse or continually refuse to hire a city auditor? The city attorney does. Now, the city attorney answering whistleblowers or whistles, however you want to phrase it, complaints about himself, it's not going to happen. Everybody, all your people know it, and they know the first thing he does is go to the city manager. Nobody believes it's secret. Nobody. Nobody would consider it. I'll ask again for you, everybody to get on. I know you've got a lot on your plates, but just make a step forward and make arrangements to hire an independent city auditor. If you think we don't need it, you're not paying attention. You've been trying to ram through no bid contracts over and over. You even said it was an emergency to go with a no bid contract for Grover for the tree to pull down the trees, and then you postponed it 2 weeks. You could have had your bids in by then. And last but not least, I'm not fond of pickles. I don't eat pickles on my hamburgers. I don't eat them on my sandwiches. So I'm offended by Mr. Pickle standing on the sidewalk trying to get business. Jeez. Thank you very much for your time. And please fix this clock.
Thank you. Next, we have Lisa Y.
Hi, my name is Lisa, and I'm here today in support of law enforcement. And I want to talk to you about some things that have been going on with our police department and going on with the Oversight Committee. I have been a nurse in Stanislaus County and Merced County for over 10 years, and I have dealt with law enforcement repeatedly through my line of work, as well as in personal circumstances. All the scenarios that I've been involved in have been very good scenarios, but I've also found that our law enforcement needs support of our community, but not by doing an oversight committee that's all on one side of politics that we're not we need to choose to elect these people into this oversight committee, because we need to make sure that everyone in all aspects of life, different sides of politics, are represented. Because the thing is criminals choose to do certain behaviors, and they need to be held accountable. Our police officers as well choose to risk their life every day for us. Yes, sometimes errors are made, and those things need to be looked at. But at the same time, we need to give them the resources that they need to do their job, not just to judge them or criticize, because it's not going to stop what happens at that moment just because there's an oversight committee. So we need to make sure that everything is represented at that time. From what I understand, you guys are wanting to do 24 unelected officials for this oversight committee. And through those 24, we need to make sure that everyone is represented there. At this time, I really ask you to take a better look at our law enforcement. Look at the resources they need. How can we better help them be better police officers? If there's mental health issues, can we help out by giving them added social workers to help them through that? If that's what they need, let's do that. Let's help them do their job. Let's not just judge every action that they're doing. Let's give them the resources, the funding they need. Because the last thing they need to worry about is, because of doing their job, of, oh no, somebody's going to complain that I did this when I was saving this person's life, when all they want to do is get home to their child and make sure somebody else's family is safe. And that's the most important thing, is to keep our community safe. Because I'm sure you guys can all agree that our community isn't the safest place. There's a lot that needs to be done, right? And that's what we all need to help do. But the thing is we need to make sure everyone is represented, that we give the police the resources that they need to do their job. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Marla Seaver online.
Hello, thank you for allowing me to talk.
You're welcome.
I'm listening to people, what they're saying, and I do agree that law enforcement, they are there to help us, and we do either need to train them or actually get an agency that deals with mental health. I don't know if anybody on there watches, there's a TV show, I think it's called Emergency, and it follows real life 911 callers. And a week or so ago on an episode was a young gentleman who had a mental health issue, having a bad day. And the 911 caller that he talked to knew what he was going through, talked to him like a human being, very calm. And then when an officer got there, he talked to the officer. And the one thing he asked the kid is, are you having a bad day? And the kid said yes. When we called for my nephew having a bad day, La Mantia did not go there to help a young man. La Mantia went there to snuff out his life, because that's what he did. Listening to Lisa, I agree with her. However, when she said criminals need to be held accountable, well, so do the criminals that wear the badge. No, there's not that many of them, but they do need to be held responsible. I also agree with my nephew where we need to add charges. La Mantia did commit murder. I've read the code sections. I know what voluntary manslaughter is. I know what murder is. He did commit a murder. We need more charges brought to him, and we also need to bring the charges. He withheld medical aid to Trevor. I'm not a psychic. I can't go back in time and say if he would have gotten him medical help from the moment he shot him, that Trevor would be alive today. But I know those precious minutes that law enforcement withheld medical help to him helped my nephew to die. Somebody else had made a comment about viewing things. You can't view things as, I can't remember his saying, but Bill Cosby used to make a comment that if you don't want people to view you in a certain way, don't act it. So again, we need to be responsible adults, be responsible. If we did something, admit it. If we didn't do it, let them know. But if you don't want somebody to see you in a negative light, don't do something that's negative. Yes, we need officers, but we need good officers that are going to see each person as a human being, not as a bullseye where they can shoot at. So we do need people out there to help. And the last one is, we do need a special prosecutor besides the district attorney. So that way if a cop, a mayor, a DA, whoever is prosecuted properly. Thank you.
Thank you. I do not have any additional blue cards for in-person speakers, so the next speaker will be Stephen Allen.
Hi, you guys, can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah.
First of all, I just want to express how sorry I am to have read in the news of what just the threats have been made against you, Mayor Zwollen. Nobody deserves to have to be in that position, and I hope that that all gets resolved and that man can get the treatment that he very likely needs, and that you will be kept safe. I'm so sorry that you're going through that. I mainly just want to comment tonight on a few things that I think need to be cleared up, and they basically pertain to what I feel has been some misrepresentation and also to just some fuzzy logic that I see. After the last city council meeting, I left the building and we were mobbed and surrounded just like I was before the city council meeting by a hate group, a violent hate group that has been under investigation by the FBI, and it has been the center of debate on the federal level on whether or not to declare them as a terrorist organization, as has been done in Canada. This is very serious. I very much appreciate the support for the changes that we need to make in public safety in this community, the support that we've received from you, Mayor Zwollen, and some of the members of the council. But that experience was absolutely unacceptable. And I would just like to encourage you guys to make sure that if hate groups try to infiltrate our town and our council meeting, again, please make sure that you're enforcing the rules. And then everything can fall into place and we can go on discussing what matters. Reform, fighting for the transparency, changing the way that we do things and holding police accountable is not a punishment to police, which is something I heard from one of the previous speakers. I mean, that's just kind of really just bad logic. I just want to encourage you guys to keep moving forward. This town desperately needs an independent auditor, as has been pointed out this evening. Mr. Drake had some very good points. I also do agree with him about the image on Zoom. We have the right to be able to participate and the technology is there. But anyhow, this town needs an independent auditor. And I also just wanted to say, I'm hearing a lot of the argument supposedly in support of the police, saying that you guys are trying to do something in secret. And I think it's hilarious because we're all fighting for accountability and they show up and try to use the need for accountability as an excuse to not hold police accountable. That's only one of several ridiculously illogical things I've heard from that side. Thank you.
Thank you. The next, excuse me. Next comment is from Darlene Ruiz.
Good evening, City Council and Mayor. I want to first say I'm sad to hear, Sue, that you were threatened and that somebody is doing that to you. You don't deserve that. You've been a godsend to our city, and we appreciate you. Also calling on asking for strength and de-escalation practices, a mental health crisis intervention program such as CAHOOTS, prevent unnecessary deaths associated with police officers, and implement a civilian review board, also an independent police auditor. I want to make it clear that we're not out to get rid of the police. There's plenty of wonderful police officers out there, but we're asking for an independent police auditor because Joseph LaMattia didn't just shoot my son. Trevor was the fifth officer, or the fifth victim that Joseph LaMattia had killed. He shouldn't have still been on the police department. And because he was, we need to look deeper into why he was and fix that so there isn't other people that are hurt unnecessarily. We're asking for police transparency. Every job has it. Police should also have it. I'm also asking for the City of Modesto to put pressure on the DA to add murder charges to Joseph LaMattia and not just voluntary manslaughter. It was murder. I am also making a comment about criminals. Somebody made a comment that criminals need to be held accountable. I agree with that. My son wasn't a criminal. He wasn't breaking the law. He didn't resist arrest. He didn't deserve to die. And we're here to make our city better and safer, not to take the police away, but have them be transparent and accountable. That's all we're asking. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, Nick.
Hi, how y'all doing?
Good.
Good. I'm speaking on behalf of somebody that couldn't make it today. So I'm going to read directly off of what he said. And I'm here today in support of our police officers and their law enforcement of the law. The anti-police rhetoric that has been highlighted recently in our community is disturbing. I think it is important for you and the council to consider that our community is not the safest. I've had both of my cars stolen from my driveway. Look at our violent crime rate. We need to empower the police and support system to do their job and enforce the law. From what I understand, this oversight committee idea came about after officer-involved fatal accidents. Let me ask you, how would this forward together committee help to have prevented those? Short answer is, it wouldn't. We have a judicial system that is evaluating whether officers are acting outside of the law while enforcing it, and it looks like that system is being used. It appears it is not being acknowledged that when you break the law, where there are risks, just like when you do drugs, you risk overdosing. When you skydive, your parachute might not open. Being a criminal brings risk of encouraging law enforcement and, in unfortunate circumstances, force being used against you. I support the officers to use the means necessary to enforce the law. They are risking their lives to keep my family safe and your family safe. An oversight committee comprised of fractions that only represent a small part of the community, the left, would not help our officers do their job more efficiently. The speaker presenting at the meeting June 8th stated that she thought that it would 24 unelected officials from organizations, none of which I'm a part of, are supposed to represent me or the entire city. She focused on 3 areas, one being accountability. Telling an officer that situation should have been handled differently. What about equality? I'm here to advocate for police to do their job equally without repercussion, that a potential criminal or example is a part of the LGBTQ community, and that my pride is on the oversight committee, so now they will get an earful. Who are these members of the oversight committee? To know whether an officer is really within their duties or needs to be held accountable. I'll give you an analogy. If a parent dies in the hospital and a chart audit is done by people with no medical experience, would you trust the result? If they were related to the patient, do you think there could be a bias? Same goes with the committee. There are not officers or lawyers. If a person with a negative police interaction is a member of an oversight panel's direct community, Do you not think there would be a bias?
All right, Nick, are you about to wrap it up?
All right.
Please.
Okay. Next, the areas of policy practice. Again, unelected members have given the power to dictate how our police enforce law. Alternate response model, sending social workers instead of the police. I can see how there would be potential for officers to have more results available to them, again, who are these committee members, to decide who should do the portion of the police work. And I just want to say, on a side note of everything, this organization, they love everyone. They back everyone. They're good.
Okay, time's up. Thank you. All right, next to speak is online. I just have the initials KS.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Karen Sutherland, and I am a friend of the Seaver family. And I have a lot more to say than 3 minutes is going to allow me, so I'm just going to condense it down. The last speaker mentioned something. He said that people that say, talking about anti-police rhetoric and how it's disturbing. Did he watch the body cam video of Trevor Seaver being murdered by Lamontia? Did he watch that? Is that not disturbing? Is that not very disturbing when this cop, who is hired and is paid by us taxpayers to protect and serve the community, gets out of his car and within a few seconds shoots and kills an unarmed citizen that is not even committing a crime? That's not disturbing to you? When is it going to become disturbing to you? When it happens to one of your family members? Let me tell you, you would definitely change your mind about police at that time, okay? So you should probably think before you speak. You and your whole group of homies over there talking your crap about stuff.
You need to speak to the council members.
I'm speaking to you guys. But what I'm saying is that it's very disturbing when these groups come up here and talk about the people that are wanting changes in the community, and then they're harassing the people as they walk out of the building. They're harassing them. Okay, so I will move on to the next thing. One of the most important things to me is getting something together to where the police are not responding to mental health calls. Okay. Because obviously Trevor needed help that day and he didn't get help. What he got was murdered, okay, by police, by a cop. And this cop, that was his 5th time killing somebody. What I also want to know is, why was he allowed to continue on the force and allowed to kill 5 people before anything is done? You know, things need to be changed. Things like that need to be changed. And so I am supportive of something like Cahoots, to where there will be a mental health professional that can come out and that can handle somebody that is having a crisis with compassion, okay? Not a cop that is absolutely just going out to kill. And I will wrap up what I have to say with that. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Anyone else online that you noticed I'm missing?
I think you got them.
Thank you very much. Next, we will go to consent items. Will the Assistant City Clerk please read the consent items?
Item 2, consider approving the minutes from the June 22nd, 2021 council meeting. Item 3, consider approving the recommended budget adjustments to fiscal year 2020-2021 annual operating and capital improvement program budgets. Item 4, consider accepting the monthly investment report for April 2021. Item 5, consider accepting an informational report from the May 2021 accounts payable payment register and void report. Item 6, consider accepting an informational report on the March and April 2021 grant applications and awards. Item 7, consider authorizing the classification of current cash on hand funds based on the definition that distinguishes petty cash versus change funds, and consider authorizing an increase to the approval limit for the Director of Finance up to $35,000 of cash on hand funds, petty cash, and change funds. Item 8, consider approving a purchase order with Coveris Incorporated from Sacramento, California by utilizing the competitive bidding process with the state of California for virtual computer server equipment replacements, software licensing, and support services for a 5-year term for a total amount not to exceed $705,376. Item 9, consider approving the award of bids for 9 city fleet replacements for Modesto Police, Parks, Recreation and Neighborhoods, and Public Works, and 1 new addition for utilities in the amount of $628,528. Item 10, consider approving the sole source agreement with Hawk Loveland, Colorado for field services for a 1-year agreement with 2 1-year extension options for an estimated annual amount of $27,922 and a total amount not to exceed $86,305 over 3 years. Item 11, consider approving the awarded bid for the furnishing of sewer root control services for the Utilities Department, Wastewater Divisions to Duke's Root Control Incorporated from Syracuse, New York, for a 2-year agreement with 3 1-year extension options for an estimated annual amount of $65,879 and a total amount not to exceed $329,395 over 5 years. Item 12, consider approving the agreement for transfer of K-9 Bane by its owner, the Modesto Police K-9 Association, to the City of Modesto for use as a police K-9. And item 13 was removed from the agenda.
Move
Thank
to
you very
approve all
much.
consent items except consent item 13.
All right, I have a motion from Councilmember Knoyer, second from Vice Mayor Scudia Brayton. Will the city clerk, assistant city clerk, please call the roll?
Councilmembers Ricky,
Aye.
Councilmember Zalaki,
Aye.
Councilmember Knoyer,
Aye.
Councilmember Wright,
Aye.
Councilmember Scudia Brayton,
Aye.
Councilmember Madrigal,
Aye.
Mayor Zwallen.
Aye, and it passes unanimously. And we have a little surprise tonight and a very special guest that
Yes.
our interim police chief, Brandon Gillespie, will introduce.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. I wanted to thank you first. You guys just approved on the consent calendar the acquisition donation from the Modesto Police Canine Association of our one of our newest canines, Canine Bane. And so I wanted to introduce and have Officer Mike Beavers, that's the canine handler, and Bane come forward so you can be introduced to Bane and Officer Beavers.
Welcome. Welcome.
Bane is a 2-year-old Malinois and one of our newest canines. So we wanted to just let you see what you approved just a few minutes ago, and thank you for the approval.
Appreciate that. Thank you so much. Oh,
Cute. Cute girl.
Give him a good steak tonight.
it's beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Love Malinois. Great dogs.
Great.
Okay, well, that's what we did. So we had a motion from council member, yes. So we approved that, the consent calendar, we had a motion from council member Knoyer, second from Vice Mayor Scudia Brayton, and then we voted and it was unanimous. And thank you so much for bringing Bane. Do any of the council members have any comments and reports?
I do.
Okay, Vice Mayor Scudia Brayton.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to take this opportunity to share with my colleagues and other members of the public the fact that the mayor and I had an opportunity to tour the Real-Time Crime Center. This was an amazing opportunity to tour this Real-Time Crime Center, which is part of the Modesto Police Department. One of the first things we observed was the watch commander. The watch commander actively was monitoring where police resources were in real time as they were happening. His ability to have a big view, a big picture view on dispatching allowed him to prioritize response levels and thus ensured the greater efficiencies in police dispatching. It was very, very impressive. We also saw skilled personnel monitor several cameras located in the Modesto area with a high propensity and possibility for crime. The quality and efficiency of these cameras were quite amazing. They were able to zoom in to the smallest thing, both in day and darkness. These high-resolution cameras promote crime deterrence. They capture admissible evidence for use in court, as well as they provide responding officers with important information before they arrive on the scene. These cameras have in the past been used to locate stolen vehicles while driving in our city streets, and have also located suspects in in-progress crimes. Again, cameras were very impressive. Also, the center has a variety of drones and a gyroplane aircraft that's currently being tested. These drones and the gyroplane have been used to quickly help search for missing persons. This is particularly important when looking for a person with medical issues and special needs. So that's when time is of the essence and where this technology really helps out a lot. They have also helped locate suspects and stolen vehicles. So again, the experience of touring the center was really impressive, and it really demonstrated how our police department maximizes the resources and technology to help keep Modesto safe. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Knoyer.
I think it's on, haven't been back the second meeting and trying to figure out where the mute button is. I just want to say thank the Kiwanis Club for our first parade in, I would say, almost 2 years. The weather was perfect. The crowds were, they were enthusiastic, and it just was so great to be able to participate in it, to see our public out again, and for our city to be able to celebrate in public again. And I just can hardly wait now for the graffiti parade. So I just want to say thank you for everyone who took the time to really put together this parade, the Kiwanis and our Parks and Recreation Department, because it was kind of like at a last minute, because everybody wasn't sure if everything was going to be open. So thank you all, and let's look forward to the next one, and I'm sure the public will be just as enthusiastic.
Thank you. Councilmember Wright.
Yeah, I want to add to that. I want to thank Jeremiah Williams publicly for his effort. I know this was like within 45 days you had to put this all together. Great floats. It was a great time, Jeremiah. You and your crew did a great job out there getting it organized. And my hat's off to you, and appreciate everything you do for this city.
Thank you so much for all of your comments. Councilmember Ricky.
I just want to say that I'm really pleased with the progress we're making right now, improving our police department. I want to thank the chief and the department for working with this council. There's a lot of noise going on right now, and it's impressive your dedication to just trying to make our city overall safer and better. I applaud your efforts in implementing a Kahoot-style program. It was actually something that you guys have been working on before I was even elected. You guys deserve credit for that. You deserve credit for following through, and you deserve credit for trying to do the right thing for the community, regardless of everything else that's going on. Another thing I want to say is, like, one of the challenges I've seen recently is with our body cams, we're like missing some spots. You know, we're seeing some blind spots in the new body cams, and I just wanted to recommend perhaps in the next budget allocation for PD, we could consider adding dash cams on the cars to get some more static, straight footage so that we could get better views on some of these situations. On to education. I want to thank the City of Modesto for supporting the National App Competition. Technology is such an important part of the future of this community, and the National App Competition is going to encourage students to create apps for phones and computers. The winners will be qualified to go to Washington, D.C. and get together with app designers from across the country. And that really could open some doors for some of our students. So I'm really excited that we're going to get involved with that. And finally, I want to really applaud both our fire department and our police department for the hard work they did this last weekend. They're not getting a lot of credit because the fireworks problem is just so serious here, but there was so much work done, and they deserve credit for trying to stop this problem. I love the fact that we innovated. We added a reporting mechanism to the Go Modesto app so that we could report the illegal fireworks more accurately and try to get people, to where they were. We're not where we need to be, and I think we need to acknowledge that, but we also need to acknowledge the effort that our people made, to try to keep this city safe. Thank you.
Thank you. Does the Deputy City Manager have any comments and reports? Tony, I didn't see. Jenny's asking if you had a comment to make, but I did not see a hand up. All right. Okay.
No, Madam Mayor,
All
thank
right.
you for asking. I was
sure.
going to comment on the app, the Go Modesto app, and the feature about the fireworks, but it already got covered by Councilmember Ricky, so I'll just say ditto.
Thank you. All right.
And Mayor, I have no comment.
All right. Next on the agenda is hearings. So item number 14. Excuse me. We have a hearing to consider an ordinance amending sections, bear with me on this, 9-4.21B, 9-4.201M, 9-4.201W, 9-4.201AM, 9-4.302, 9-4.402A6, 9-4.02D22, 9-4.501C1, 9-4.501C5 2A, and 9-4.603F, and adding section 9-4.307 to Chapter 4 Floodplain Management of Title IX, Building Regulations of the Modesto Municipal Code to adopt flood hazard maps, designate a floodplain administrator, and providing for severability and an effective date. Please take it away.
Yes, good afternoon, Mayor, council members. Oscar Diaz, your Chief Building Official in the Community and Economic Development Department. Here today to consider an ordinance amending various sections and adding one section to Chapter 4 Floodplain Management, Title IX, which is the building regulations in the municipal code. All right, a little bit of background. The City of Modesto was accepted for participation in the National Flood Insurance Program on August 15th, 1980. FEMA has published new flood insurance rate maps for our region, and the new maps will be effective on August 24th, 2021. The City of Modesto is required to update its floodplain management regulations to comply with the NFIP regulations. Staff is recommending a motion introducing and waiving the first reading by title only of an ordinance amending the various sections and adding the one section to Chapter 14 Floodplain Management of Title IX of the Modesto Municipal Code. I can answer any questions.
All right. Any questions from council members?
I have a question.
All right. Council Member Wright.
Thank you for the information. This does not change the actual map itself or any of the homes that are in or going out of the flood plain or coming into floodplain, correct?
Correct. So FEMA changed the maps. And as part of the process, they've done an audit of our ordinance And they've wanted us to make some changes, so the ordinance reflects those changes that they were requesting.
So any homes, are they, excuse me, are there going to be any homes that are being included now in the new flood zone?
It's a possibility, yes.
And can we get a copy of that map to look at?
Yes, I can send the maps to you, but they are published on FEMA's website.
Okay, thank you.
Right, any other questions from council members? Seeing none, any comments from the public? I don't see comments from the public. Any comments from council members? Seeing none, do I have a motion introducing and waiving the first reading of an ordinance amending the sections that I previously mentioned to Chapter 4 Floodplain Management of Title 9 Building Regulations of the Modesto Municipal Code to adopt flood hazard maps, designate a floodplain administrator, and providing for severability and an effective date?
So moved.
Motion by Councilmember Wright.
I'll second.
Second by Councilmember Madrigal. Will the Assistant City Clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Ricky?
Aye.
Councilmember Zalaki?
Aye.
Councilmember Canoyer?
Aye.
Councilmember Wright?
Aye.
Councilmember Escudia Brayton?
Aye.
Councilmember Madrigal?
Aye.
Mayor Zwolin?
Aye. It carries unanimously. Going on to item 15. We have a hearing to consider establishing City of Modesto Community Facilities District, number 2021-1 Wood Glen, authorizing the levy of special taxes therein and establishing an annual appropriations limit, calling a special election, and declaring the results of the July 6, 2021 special election. I will turn it over to Jessica Hill.
Great, thank you, Mayor, City Council. Jessica Hill, Community Development Manager. So this is the time that has been previously set and noticed for the public hearing regarding the proposed formation of City of Modesto Community Facilities District number 2021-1 Wood Glen. The approval of special taxes to be levied therein and related matters. Mayor, before you open the public hearing, I'd like to ask if there are any property owners or persons registered to vote within the Community Facilities District who wish to file written protest and who have not already done so. If so, they must be filed with the clerk now. There being none, will the city clerk please report as to whether the notice of public hearing has been properly provided and whether the Community Facilities District report prepared by Goodwin Consulting Group describing the Community Facilities District has been received?
Yes, notice of the hearing has been published in accordance with the law. The owners of the land within the Community Facilities District have acknowledged notice of the hearings and have consented to the proceedings. And the Community Facilities District report has been filed with the City Council, and a copy of it is available for the public.
Mayor, the public hearing may now be officially opened.
All right, I will open the public hearing.
Okay, for a little bit of background, the state of California Melrose Community Facilities Act of 1982 allows a flexible funding mechanism to local governments to help mitigate the effects of new development. In order to form a community facilities district, it requires a vote of the landowners, or if there are 12 or more registered voters, a 2/3 vote of approval from the registered voters in that district. Community facility districts are formed to pay for major infrastructure improvements needed due to the new development, and additionally as a funding source to pay for the ongoing maintenance of these improvements. As a little bit of background, the Wood Glen specific plan area is bounded by Pellendale Avenue, Carver Road, Bangs Avenue, and Tully Road. In June 2019, the tentative map was approved to facilitate 80 acres of land to develop into 367 single-family lots with a portion set aside for multifamily development. A condition of the tentative map was to form a community facilities district prior to the recordation of final map. So in order to form a CFD, 3 council items are needed to move forward. So on June 1st, 2021, Council approved a resolution of intention to establish the Community Facilities District and authorize the levy of a special tax within the CFD. Tonight, we are seeking approval to call the special election of the landowners and declaring the results. Declaring the formation, authorizing the levy, and establishing an annual as well as an introduction of an ordinance which authorizes the city to levy special taxes. If approved tonight, the second reading of the ordinance will occur on July 13th, 2021. So above is the attached boundary map of Woodglen. The parcel to the left, which is approximately 40 acres, will be part of the formation today. The parcel in gray, directly to the right, has been identified as a future annexation area. Once this parcel is ready to develop, they will be able to annex into the CFD if it is approved today. The Woodglen CFD will be a facilities and maintenance CFD. Funding for the facilities includes funding to be set aside for future infrastructure improvements for a future intersection at Carver and Banks. The maintenance improvements include landscape maintenance, tree maintenance and replacement of a masonry wall, neighborhood park maintenance, and a storm drain basin maintenance. There are 2 taxes which are levied on these properties. The maximum annual special tax is $898 per residential unit. If approved, this would be the maximum amount levied on the tax bill on an annual basis to pay for maintenance. The one-time special tax is $990 per residential unit, and this is collected at the building permit issuance to pay for future infrastructure. So before we get to our actions today, Mayor, now would be the appropriate time to take any questions and receive comments from persons interested in the proceedings.
All right, are there any questions of council members? Councilmember Wright.
Jessica, thank you for your presentation. So $898 per residential unit. How many units is that referring to? The 898, is that the 4 parcels, or is it?
So it's referred to what's considered to be the final build out. And so that would be the 367 lots.
And you think that's probably going to be the amount that they are going to be paying right off the bat?
Yeah, I do not anticipate it to be paid right off the bat. It will be assessed annually based on the infrastructure that's completed that needs to be maintained that year.
And do you think that those fees will go down eventually once the infrastructure is all put in?
I feel that as additional units are built and completed and that cost is spread among them, that we wouldn't levy the full amount each year.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any comments from the public? Seeing none, any comments from council members? All right, I'll send it back to you, Jessica.
Thank you, Mayor. Has the city clerk received written protests to any of the matters addressed in these public hearings from any registered voters or landowners of more than 50% of the acreage located in the Community Facilities District?
No, I have not received any written protests.
Mayor, if there are no further comments from the public or members of the council, the public hearing can be closed.
All right, we will close the public hearing.
Has the city clerk conducted the election for the Community Facilities District?
Yes, the results of the election are 44 votes in favor and 0 votes opposed. The proposition has passed unanimously. I have completed and filed a certificate as to the results of the canvass of the election returns.
Great, thank you. Mayor, it would now be the appropriate time to ask for a motion approving the resolutions and the introduction of the ordinance.
All right, thank you. And I have to do 4 separate motions and votes for this. So the first is a resolution declaring formation of City of Modesto Communities Facilities District, number 2021-1 Woodglen, conditionally authorizing the levy of special taxes therein and conditionally establishing an annual appropriations limit. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Vice Mayor Escudia-Brayton. Second?
Second.
Bill.
Second by Councilmember Zalaki. Assistant City Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Zerke?
Aye.
Councilmember Zalaki?
Aye.
Councilmember Knoyer?
Aye.
Councilmember Wright?
Aye.
Councilmember Escudia-Brayton?
Aye.
Councilmember Madrigal?
Aye.
Mayor Zalan?
Aye. Thank you. It carries unanimously. Second is a resolution calling a special election for the City of Modesto Community Facilities District, number 2021-1 Woodglen. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by
Second.
Councilmember Ricky, seconded by Councilmember Wright. Can I please have the roll call?
Councilmember Ricky?
Aye.
Councilmember Zalaki?
Aye.
Councilmember Canoyer?
Aye.
Councilmember Wright?
Aye.
Councilmember Escudia Brayton?
Aye.
Councilmember Madrigal?
Aye.
Mayor Zwallen?
Aye. Carries unanimously. Next, resolution declaring the results of the July 6, 2021 special election and approving certain related actions pertaining to City of Modesto Community Facilities District, number 2021-1, Woodglen. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Moved by Councilmember Wright. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Canoyer. We need a roll call.
Councilmember Ricky?
Aye.
Councilmember Zalaki?
Aye.
Councilmember Canoyer?
Aye.
Councilmember Wright?
Aye.
Councilmember Escudia Brayton?
Aye.
Councilmember Madrigal?
Aye.
Mayor Zwallen?
Aye. Carries unanimously. Next is a motion introducing and waiving the first reading of an ordinance authorizing the levy of special taxes within the City of Modesto held within City of Modesto Community Facilities District number 2021-1 Woodglen. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Moved by Councilmember Wright.
Second.
Seconded by Vice Mayor Escudia Brayton. We'll take a roll call.
Councilmember Ricky?
Aye.
Councilmember Zalaki?
Aye.
Councilmember Canoyer?
Aye.
Councilmember Wright?
Aye.
Councilmember Escudia Brayton?
Aye.
Councilmember Madrigal?
Aye.
Mayor Zwallen?
Aye, carries unanimously. Thank you so much. Jessica, that's it? All right. Now we'll go to item number 16. Consider directing staff to proceed with the comprehensive general plan update and associated environmental impact report, approving an agreement with PlaceWorks to prepare the comprehensive general plan update 2050 and associated environmental impact report in the amount of $1,579,412 plus a 10% contingency of $157,941 if needed, for a total not to exceed $1,737,353. Unfreeze the currently frozen associate planner position to assist with project work and authorize project funding. All right, we'll turn it over to Jalen French.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. Thank you, Mayor. That pretty much covers the first slide here. As was read, a couple actions here before you, but really all of them revolve around directing staff to move forward on a comprehensive general plan update. The first update of such in 26 years now, since 1995. So we'll get to those 4 items that were read by the mayor. As I just mentioned, first comprehensive, the city staff has done several amendments, smaller updates, not looking at every chapter within the general plan, but looking at various chapters. The last one was completed in March of 2019, so not too long ago. But this will be the first time that the council and the staff really look at the boundaries for the City of Modesto. And this has been expressed as a high priority in the newly adopted, or relatively newly adopted now, 2020-2025 strategic plan. So with an effort like this, which is roughly $2 million, about 3-year effort, it's common for city staff to hire a consultant to help prepare various elements, the entire document, but especially pieces of it, including the environmental impact report. So we released an RFP, request for proposal, in late 2020, received responses late January, interviewed in May, and determined with a 7-person panel, 3 from staff and 4 from our partners in various organizations, determined PlaceWorks, which has many offices throughout California and does many of these documents in big and small cities, to be the most responsive and qualified firm, and we'll move forward with them tonight if approved by the council. So the scope of work, this is a very generalized list. The general plan update is a very comprehensive document. But as is read up here, it really does start with public engagement. And we don't like public outreach as much as public engagement because we really do want to engage with the public, not just outreach to them, not just tell them what we're doing, but truly engage with the public to set a vision and a path forward for this document. The document is really the blueprint by which city staff and other decisions are made to determine the future of our community. It's kind of the North Star, the thing that we're pointing at to get us there. One of the key elements that we have added, it's not uncommon, but one that we are focusing on is a baseline economic development assessment. This will help all decision makers determine kind of where we are as a city economically and where we want to go because of the link to land use decisions. Land use and economic development are directly tied. So we want to have some background information to set the stage for our land use decisions. Of course, we'll look at the planning boundaries. We'll do the environmental impact report. It's basically a report that shares what impacts the plan will have on the environment moving forward. So the project budget, as was briefly read by the mayor, we had indicated the total effort would be about $2 million, and you see up there just north of $2 million, so we're glad that our estimate was good. The PlaceWorks contract came in at about $1.5 million. We will add a 10% contingency for these types of efforts, just in case there's any, issues, hiccups, unforeseen matters. That brings the consultant contract to about $1.7 million. As part of this item, we are requesting that the council consider unfreezing an associate planner position in the planning division to help staff manage the consultant contract in this monumental task, bringing the total just north of $2 million, rounded up about $2.1 million. So in this time, we do have some outside money to help fund this effort. In 2014, this is inside money. In 2014, council authorized setting aside $500,000. $353,000 of that is still remaining. Some of it was used for the prior general plan amendment. So that's $353,000 there. We received a planning grant from the state, $577,000 to help fund this effort. We will utilize general fund money kind of through the ARPA, $700,000, and that'll get us to the 177, just covering the consulting costs, and we will use $300,000 in general plan maintenance fees. So every building permit that's submitted, there's a general plan maintenance fee, so we'll use those funds over the next 3 years to help fund the associate planner position, again, if approved by the council. So this is where we are as of today, and again, we expect this process to take approximately 3 years. We'll start the public engagement and visioning process first. That'll get us into 2022, prepare the document, as well as the environmental impact report through the next 3 years or so. So the staff recommendations are the 4 items that the mayor read before. Motion directing staff to proceed with the document, approving an agreement with PlaceWorks in the amount shown above, a resolution amending the position allocation, basically unfreezing that planner position, and then amending the fiscal year multi-year budget for non-capital project to authorize the total project funding. So with that, I would be happy to answer any questions that the council may have.
All right, thank you very much for that report. Does council have any questions?
I do.
All right. Okay, Councilmember Canoyer, and then we'll have Councilmember Zalaki online.
I was wondering, how long do you think it's going to take you to get an associate planner? And once that's unfrozen, is it going to stay permanently unfrozen?
So the set aside would be for funding that position for 3 years. After that 3 years and when that funding runs out, staff, council, through the budget process will make the determination if that position is to remain unfrozen or not, of course, at that time based on need.
And the first part of my question, how long do you think it's gonna take you to get, to recruit an associate planner?
So I believe we have an open position. Currently, it's frozen, so we'll go through the regular requisition HR process and get someone on board as quickly as possible, but it generally takes, a couple months.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, Councilmember Zalaki.
Yeah, thank you, Jalen. By the way, this is one of the most encouraging things I've seen in a long time in the area of growth and the ability to have prosperity in our city with the challenges that we have had. And that is the inclusion in this of an economic model to examine zoning and other sorts of things. I think that's a strong, strong signal to those that understand this process that Modesto is looking at the totality impact. And we can't always rely, a little bit of, point this out to members of the public, we cannot rely on Modesto being just a Bay Area commuter city. We have to develop other zonings that produce incomes. We can't be a bedroom community, which we historically have been for the obvious reasons of our housing affordability. And that particularly will be amplified with the COVID effect and the telecommuting issue, to opportunity that has come out of that. And we're seeing that now as an unrelenting number of people are moving here. And look at our housing prices in just look at the last year, what's happened. And I don't see that slowing down short of some economic collapse that would reverse the trend that we're currently on. So the process that you are using, if I'm understanding, correct me if I am, is to look at that zoning opportunities and evaluate all of the dollars and all of the zonings and find out, will this city be a fiscal city of responsibility and have a positive cash flow? We're going to be stuck in debt the rest of our days that we are in the near future. Will we be able to pay? In other words, will we develop resources other than just the sales tax dollars that we have currently and the property tax values that we have and mill tax, or excuse me, mill tax. And then there's a couple other little ones out there that come in and help run the city. And so this is really a great opportunity to tell the public, here's how we're doing it. Here's the reasons we're making our decisions. Because if we don't do this, we're going to be in the red. And how do we fix that? And I think that's what you're trying to do. That's you can tell me when I get finished here whether that's what you're trying to do, because that's what I'm reading between the lines, and I'm excited about it. This will be a first for the city of Modesto, and will set us aside as we develop our city responsibly to make sure we have jobs centered here as well as housing. And we do really well with housing. We actually do. If you examine the newer format that we use with Village One and with Woodglen that's coming out and other communities that have the ability to plan bigger things and get make sure there's adequate parks and good street boulevards, make sure we have some shopping, retail and such. This is a great opportunity. So 27 years. When you said it, I mean, I know that. I know it was 1995. When you said it, just wow, it's been that long. And how often should we be doing an update? I'll just throw it at you.
The general rule of thumb, there's no set timeline, but the general rule of thumb is about every 10 years.
Okay, all right. I heard 5 for those that are really staying on top of it. And I know it costs. It costs. We're spending some money here. But I'm looking at your numbers, and relative to some of the others I've seen, you're doing a good job of making sure we're not overspending, I can tell. So congratulations on that, by the way. So thank you. I don't have any other further questions.
Thank you. Councilmember Madrigal? Do you have
Thank
questions?
you all.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, I had a question. Well, first of all, I just want to, share the excitement and the positive reaction that we are. How can I say that? I guess we're finally going to have a comprehensive general plan update that's been long overdue. Ever since I got elected to the council, I know that we've dealt with major land use decision issues that are tied to this outdated Modesto general plan, which is our blueprint for the city, and to finally have us be at this step because we do have some outside funding and even some inside funding that you also mentioned. I wanted to ask you about the city's economic development strategy. As you know, this is something that we've been talking about for a while that we need to develop. Could you tell us how this is either gonna, the economic development strategy for the city is either gonna intersect or nexus, or you see what I'm getting at?
Yeah. So the document, Economic Development Strategy, that you and I have discussed is primarily an inward-facing document. It speaks to what the 3 or 3.5 staff on Modesto City staff will be spending their time on. It's kind of our game plan for our workload. The economic development assessment and then probably strategy that we end up doing as part of the general plan update will be more externally focused, looking broader out into the community, looking at what types of industries we are strong in, where we should support and bolster those existing industries, what new industries we should look at, what new growth opportunities, both in residential and commercial development. So 2 different plans, but both will work together for the overall economic health of the city.
Just to follow up, is it common or is it not common for cities to have, I guess, a public economic development strategy type of document that that's like, part of their website or whatever? Like, I don't know. I'm thinking out loud here. Like, what do other cities do when it comes to economic development strategies, or do they only rely on their general plan document?
Oh no. Very common for cities to have public-facing economic development strategies. Sometimes they do it in-house, sometimes they do it with a consultant. I do think, in addition to the assessment's one thing, having a strategy associated with the general plan effort will be something that we will take on. That will be your public-facing document.
Well, I'm sure I'll just speak for myself. I eagerly, look forward to that. And by the way, I just want to say this publicly. If at any point there's any, additional staffing needs in your department, I'll speak for myself and say, please come forward and let us know that, you could use, a couple more staff people to, churn out all these economic development plans, projects, tools, ideas, concepts, proposals, renderings, what have you. I think, if there was ever a time for us to really invest in economic development and in your department, making sure that you have the tools needed so that we can really map out the economic future of our city, it is now. I'm going to get out of my soapbox now, but I doubt anybody at this school.
All right. Councilmember Ricky, questions?
Yeah. I want to echo the sentiments of Bill and Tony. I agree that we're at a crossroads here, and any support that we can give, we need to really work on this because we're only going to get one shot at this. I do have a question, though. You mentioned the general fund maintenance fee, and there was a fund attached to that. Can you tell me more about that, and what else does that fund do?
So as far as I understand, and I'll just look over this way, get some nods, It is a fee associated with a permit to help the city maintain or do new updates to the general plan. So, you know, each permit, we're collecting a little bit of money, it builds up over time, and so as we get into 10 years or whatever it may be, we hope to have enough money in that fund to update the next general plan.
Right, so are you saying that, so it's just for the general plan then?
Just for the general plan.
Okay,
It
and
is,
you're saying that since I graduated from college in 1995, we've raised $300K in that fund?
no, we just implemented a couple years ago. Wait, what year?
About 10 years ago.
Okay, so 10 years ago, but we recently raised it 2 years ago, I think. We raised that fee. It was a relatively small amount, you know, between 10 years ago and 8 years ago. We've raised the fee a little bit to get more money into the fund.
That answers my question, thanks.
Okay.
All right, I have a question. The next step sounds like public engagement and visioning in 2021 and 2022. What will that look like? How will we receive the public engagement and visioning?
Yeah, that is a good question. It is not one that we have nailed down exactly yet. We will get together with the consultants who we've just had very preliminary initial conversations. We'll get together with the consultants, we'll get together with the council in some form, and really start nailing down exactly what that looks like.
Okay, so the consultants are going to help us.
In coordination with staff.
Right,
correct.
develop that process to make sure.
Yeah.
Okay, great, that
The
answers my question.
Real quick, the one thing I'll say is it won't be your traditional public outreach where we do 3 community workshops and, you know, we get 50 people at a workshop and we call that good. It'll be frequent, continual, it'll be different forms of media. It won't just be, you know, your workshop style format. It'll be websites and other things to really, again, engage the community in this effort.
Thank you very much. Any other, Councilmember Wright?
Mayor, you took the question right out of my mouth, but I have a follow-up to that question. I think it's important that people realize that if we don't update our general plan, other cities are going to start taking up land that are around us, and before you know it, we're not going to have any growth where to grow. A prime example is up in Riverbank, where they have a big shopping center up there on Kernan, I believe it is, and at one time that was supposed to be in the city limits. So there's tax dollars that we're not getting because we didn't do what we should have done, you know, 10 or 15, 20 years ago. So I think it's important that people realize, for the people that don't want to see any growth, we need to really educate them that somebody's going to grow in that area. Is it going to be us, or is it going to be the cities around us? So I think that's an important thing that we really need to point out to the public when we have these meetings, and to let them know that it does hurt us in the long run when we don't expand.
All right. Any more questions from council members? Seeing none from the public. Do we have any questions regarding item 16 from the public? I see one hand, Ramon Rodriguez.
Yeah, my question is, this is general, no, I don't want to sound a bit, can anyone hear?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't want to sound a little bit ignorant, but this general plan update includes affordable multi-density housing, close proximity to jobs, and making things more environmentally friendly, where people don't have to use their automobiles just to get around Modesto, because that's going to happen in the next decades. That's my question I'm asking for.
All right, thank you.
Yes, good question. So the general plan will touch on policies like that in terms of, you know, income levels of housing close to job centers, those types of things. Not in a very specific level. It is called a general plan, but in a general way, the city will adopt, look at, consider policies addressing the topics that the speaker raised.
Thank you. I do not see any other questions
I have a
from the
question.
public. Okay, Councilmember Zalaki.
Thank you, Mayor. Jalen, PlaceWorks is helping with the EIR. Will they be helping with that type of work also? Will they be part of that? Okay. And are they the ones that did the downtown?
No, it was Opticoast Design that did the downtown plan.
Okay, all right. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Any comments from council members? Vice Mayor Scooty Brayton.
Thank you, Mayor. Jalen, congratulations on getting to this point. I don't want to repeat what my peers have already said in terms of positive comments that we're at this point now. It is very exciting. You know that this particular project is very near and dear to my heart through the many questions and meetings I've had with you on the subject. I'm delighted that we're having a very comprehensive forum to receive public engagement in multiple languages, in multiple forums. I strongly encourage the public to come out and speak in regards to how they feel Modesto should look like years from now. It's going to impact every level of lifestyle and around us. So this is an initiative that I hope the entire community embraces and is part of. So thank you for getting us to this point, and I look forward to more information as to the progress of the general plan.
Thank you. Any other council members have any comments? I have a comment if there aren't any. I just want to express my appreciation to you, Jalen, and to your staff for the effort that you've put forward thus far. This really is a huge deal. I will not repeat everything that everyone has said, but I support it in every way. And Vice Mayor Scooty Brayton said exactly the words out of my mouth. This is really an exciting time. So I could not be prouder to work with this council and really look forward to this process going forward to improve our city. So do we have a motion? Oh, excuse me. I need to read the staff recommendation, and it is 4 different parts, but we get to do just one vote. So if you bear with me as I read this, then we just need one motion and a vote. So motion directing staff to proceed with the Comprehensive General Plan Update 2050 and its Environmental Impact Report. Resolution approving a professional services agreement with PlaceWorks of Santa Ana, California to prepare the Comprehensive General Plan Update 2050 and its Environmental Impact Report in the amount of $1,579,412 plus a 10% contingency of $157,941 if needed, for a total not to exceed $1,737,353, and authorizing the city manager or his designee to execute the agreement. Or also a resolution amending the position allocation for fiscal year 2021-22 as adopted in the operating budget. Resolution amending the fiscal year 2021-22 multi-year budget for non-capital project number 100838, CED Modesto Urban and Area General Plan Update to increase transfers in revenue to the project and transfer out from Fund 0100 General Fund by $700,000 to increase the grant revenue budget for the project to account for the Regional Early Action Plan grant in the amount of $577,284 to increase the professional services expenditure account in the project by $1,277,284 and to increase the planning division cost center 14410 fiscal year 2021-22 expenditure budget by $107,148 to account for first year of funding for the associate planner position that is being unfrozen for the fiscal year 2021-22. Do I have a motion?
Zalaki.
Motion by Councilmember Zalaki.
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Canoyer. Can we have the roll call, please?
Councilmember Ricky?
Aye.
Councilmember Zalaki?
Aye.
Councilmember Canoyer?
Aye.
Councilmember Wright?
Aye.
Councilmember Scooty Brayton?
Aye.
Councilmember Madrigal?
Aye.
Mayor Zalman?
Aye. Carries unanimously. Thank you so much. Are there any matters too late for the agenda? Seeing none, I am calling the meeting of the City Council to be adjourned.